The Royal Interstellar Academy floated above the blue world of Valaris Prime, its towers shining like silver blades under twin suns. The Academy was a place where the galaxy's brightest minds gathered, princes, diplomats, and warriors from every known species. And among them, walking quietly with a backpack heavier than his confidence, was Elias Reed, the only human student in the entire Academy every day. Whispers followed him through the halls. "Look, that's the human," someone would say. "The one from the primitive world," another would add. He never responded, he just smiled and kept walking. Humans were rare beyond Earth, and to many aliens, they were still considered unpredictable. Even dangerous Elias wasn't rich or noble. But he had earned his place through brilliance. His teachers admired his logic and courage, though few said it aloud that morning. He arrived early for his xenobiology class, unaware that fate had chosen this day to change not just his life, but the fate of entire galaxies. As he sat near the window, he noticed the royal guard standing outside the hall, their armor gleaming with the insignia of House Xylarian, the ruling family of a star empire that stretched across 10,000 systems. Among the guards walked Princess Seren Xylaris, the Emperor's daughter. She was beautiful in a way that defied human words, skin that shimmered like opal, eyes that reflected distant stars, and a calm presence that silenced every room she entered. The professor bowed low as she entered. "Your Highness, it is an honor," he said. Serene smiled politely, but her gaze wandered. Curious when it met Elias's, she paused. Perhaps it was surprise, seeing a human among alien nobles, or perhaps something else. Elias looked away quickly, pretending to read his datapad minutes later. The peaceful hum of the Academy was shattered by a deep, echoing boom. The floor trembled, alarm screamed, and a blinding flash erupted from the central power core. "Explosion in the Eastern Dome," someone shouted. Chaos spread instantly. Students screamed, glass shattered, and the once calm Academy became a storm of smoke and fire. Through the haze, Elias saw the impossible. The princess was trapped behind fallen pillars. Her guards lay unconscious, and flames licked closer to her side. Panic froze everyone. No one dared move toward the royal danger zone. "Someone help her," a teacher cried. But no one stepped forward without thinking. Elias dropped his bag and ran. His mind screamed at him to stop, but his heart didn't listen. The air burned his lungs as he pushed through fire and debris. He lifted a heavy beam with his bare hands, his muscles shaking. "Hold on," he shouted, his voice cracked, but she heard him. Her alien eyes widened as the human student tore through the wreckage. The explosion had ruptured a plasma conduit, and energy arcs crackled around them. Elias shielded the princess with his body as sparks flew. He pulled her out from the collapsing wall, his uniform burning in patches. The heat was unbearable, but he didn't let go. "It's okay. I've got you," he said softly. They stumbled into the open air, smoke rising behind them like a wounded beast. The emergency teams finally arrived, rushing toward the scene. The princess was alive, but Elias collapsed beside her, half-conscious. His hands were bleeding. His skin blistered, yet he managed a weak smile. "You're safe now," he whispered. The royal guards surrounded them instantly. Medics scanned Seren while two soldiers dragged Elias away for treatment. "Wait," the princess gasped. "He saved me!" But her voice was drowned out by the chaos. Later, when the fires were extinguished and the Academy was secured, the story spread like wildfire. Holonews screens across the galaxy replayed the footage. A human risking his life for alien royalty. The video of Elias carrying the princess through the flames reached every world within hours. On Earth, humans watched with awe, proud and fearful, wondering what this would mean on alien worlds. Nobles debated whether the act was bravery or madness. When Elias woke in the medical bay, his body wrapped in regeneration sheets, he didn't realize he had become the most discussed being in the galaxy. A nurse, an insectoid from the planet Tyrex, whispered to him, "The Emperor himself has demanded your name." Elias blinked, confused. Did I do something wrong?" She smiled, her antennae twitching. "You saved his daughter, human." Outside the window, the stars seemed closer somehow, as if watching him too, and far above, in the imperial palace orbiting the gas giant Vorin, Princess Seren stood before her father and said one simple sentence that would shake the universe. "Father, the human saved me," and with those words, the quiet student from Earth unknowingly When Elias finally regained full strength, the medical ward of the Royal Interstellar Academy was no longer quiet. Dozens of reporters, guards, and officials filled the halls, waiting for the human who had saved the princess. He sat on his bed, confused, watching alien medics whisper and point toward him. His burns were healing fast thanks to advanced alien nanogel, but his mind was still dizzy from what had happened. Outside his room, a shadow moved. The door slid open, and in walked Princess Selflessness herself, surrounded by royal guards in silver armor. The medics froze, bowing deeply. Elias tried to stand, but she raised a hand gently. "You don't need to rise," she said softly. Her voice was calm, carrying the tone of someone used to command but also filled with warmth. Elias looked at her nervously. "Your Highness, I didn't mean to cause trouble," he said. She stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly with alien light. "Trouble?" she repeated. "You ran into a fire to save my life." He smiled weakly. "Anyone would have done that." Her expression turned serious. "No," she said, "no one else did for a moment." The room felt still. Seren reached into a small satchel and took out a golden insignia, the crest of House Xylarian. She held it before him. "From this day you are under my royal protection," she said. "Your courage will not be forgotten." The guards exchanged confused looks. It was unheard of for a human student to receive royal favor. Elias didn't understand the gravity of her words, but in the Empire's culture, this meant he had been symbolically tied to the royal bloodline, protected, honored, and watched. That evening, every news channel across the galaxy showed the same footage. The Emperor's daughter bowing her head before a human. The caption read, "Princess honors human savior." On some worlds, it was seen as an act of peace, on others an insult to alien nobility. In the palace of House Xylarian, the Emperor stood before a massive window overlooking the nebula fields. His expression was cold, his golden armor gleaming under the starlight. "A human?" he whispered. "You gave royal protection to a human?" Seren bowed her head. "He saved me when no one else moved, Father." The Emperor turned, his eyes blazing. "Do you understand what this means?" he said. "The other houses will call it weakness. They will question our bloodline. Then let them," she replied, her voice firm. "If compassion is weakness, then maybe we have been strong for too long." Her father said nothing, but his gaze softened for a moment. He had seen the footage too, the human running through fire for his daughter. He had seen fear and something else in the boy's eyes. Not for himself, but for her. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Elias became a quiet celebrity. Aliens who had once ignored him now stared when he passed by. Some smiled politely, others sneered. A group of nobles whispered in corners, their jealousy boiling. One of them, a tall, blue-skinned noble named Terran Val, slammed his hand against a locker. "That human thinks he's a hero," he hissed. "He's a parasite feeding on sympathy," his friend smirked. "The princess seems to think otherwise." Terran's eyes darkened. "Then we'll remind her what humans really are." That night, Elias returned to his dorm room exhausted. He found a strange device under his bed, a small energy capsule ticking faintly. His instincts screamed danger. Without hesitation, he grabbed it and threw it into the corridor. It exploded with a flash of light. Shaking the walls, security alarms blared again. Within minutes, guards surrounded the area. Elias was thrown to the floor, metal cuffs clamped around his wrists. "You're under arrest for possession of explosive devices," an officer barked. Elias shouted, "It's not mine." Someone planted it, but no one listened. Hours later, the royal tribunal began, and once again, Princess Seren appeared uninvited. Her presence silenced the room. "Release him," she ordered. "I gave this human my protection." The judge hesitated. "Your Highness." He was framed," Seren interrupted. Check the Academy security logs moments later. The footage played, showing Terran Val sneaking into Elias's quarters. Planting the device, gasps filled the hall. The nobles looked away in shame. Seren turned to Elias, her eyes filled with relief. "You risked your life for me," she said softly. "And now I will protect yours." Elias bowed his head, unsure what to say. For the first time, he realized she wasn't helping him because of duty. It was something deeper, a bond born from fire and danger. Outside the tribunal, the crowd of reporters screamed questions. "Human hero framed by nobles. Princess defies the council again. Is this friendship or something more?" Far away, in the Emperor's private chamber, his advisors gathered. One of them, an ancient strategist, whispered, "Sire, This human could be dangerous, the Emperor replied coldly. Every story of rebellion begins with one act of kindness. He turned toward the stars, unaware that the very act he feared, the human's courage, was already reshaping the destiny of his empire. And somewhere on the Academy balcony that night, Elias and Seren stood side by side, watching twin moons rise over the alien city. I didn't mean for any of this, he said quietly. Seren smiled. Sometimes, fate chooses the ones who never ask for it. The wind carried their words into the night, as the stars above seemed to shimmer brighter, perhaps whispering to one another. The legend of a human who had saved a princess and unknowingly changed the galaxy's balance forever. The days after the tribunal felt calm on the surface, but beneath that calm, something dark began to stir. Elias had become a symbol. Some called him the human guardian. Others whispered that he had bewitched the princess. The academy halls that once ignored him now echoed with quiet tension. Everywhere he went, he could feel eyes following him. Some were full of respect, but others burned with hatred. The alien nobles who once ruled the academy's social order now felt threatened by a human who had earned the princess's trust. One afternoon, as Elias walked through the central courtyard, his datapad buzzed with a message. Meet me in the Arboretum at dusk, come alone. It was unsigned. But curiosity got the better of him. When he arrived, the glass domes above glowed with the light of twin moons, casting silver shadows across rows of glowing alien plants. From behind the crystal trees stepped Terran Val, the same noble who had framed him. His cold blue eyes gleamed with arrogance. You think saving her makes you special? He sneered. You're nothing but a primitive creature playing hero. Elias frowned. I didn't save her for fame, he said. I did it because no one else did. Terran stepped closer, his voice like venom. Stay away from her, human. You're a danger to the Empire. Before Elias could reply, 2 guards stepped out of the shadows, both part of Terran's family security. They surrounded him, one whispering, accidents happen in the Arboretum, but just then, a sharp hum filled the air. Princess Seren stepped out from the opposite side, her royal armor shining faintly. Enough, she said coldly. Her guards followed, armed with energy staffs. If anyone touches him, they answer to me. Terran froze, his arrogance fading into fear. Seren's gaze was like ice. You disgrace your house with lies and cowardice, she said. This human has more honor than any of you. After that night, rumors spread faster than light. The princess had publicly defended the human again. The nobility was furious. Every word of hers felt like a dagger to their pride. Back in his dorm, Elias sat by the window. Staring at the endless stars, his mind was full of questions. Why does she keep risking so much for me? He thought. Maybe it was gratitude, maybe friendship, or maybe something more, something unspoken. The next morning, the Academy's news holo displayed a shocking announcement. Human student appointed as Royal Academy Protector by Princess Seren. Elias was speechless. The royal decree gave him an official position, an honor never given to a human before. He would now study under royal security and act as her personal assistant during Academy events. When Seren arrived later, he couldn't hide his confusion. Why did you do this? He asked. You've made everyone hate me more. She smiled softly. Because you stood alone when everyone else ran, she said. Now you'll never stand alone again. Their bond grew stronger after that. They trained together, shared lessons, and discussed human and alien philosophies. Seren was fascinated by his stories of Earth, of oceans, of rain, of the idea that one person could change the world. But jealousy never truly faded. It only hid one evening. While Elias was leaving the training chamber, the lights suddenly went dark. A chilling silence filled the hall. Then blaster fire. He dove behind a pillar as energy bolts scorched the walls. Shadows moved, assassins in black cloaks. They weren't students, they were professionals. He grabbed a fallen guard's weapon and fought back. His human reflexes and soldier-like instincts took over. Each move was desperate but precise. He hit one, then another, but there were too many. Suddenly, a blinding flash of blue energy swept across the hall. The assassins screamed as they fell. Princess Seren stood at the entrance, her royal spear glowing with plasma light. Elias, she shouted, running toward him. He was bleeding, clutching his arm, but alive. You're hurt, she said, kneeling beside him. He looked up weakly. I'm fine. They wanted me dead. Her expression darkened. No, she said quietly. They wanted to silence a symbol. Guards rushed in moments later, capturing the surviving attackers when interrogated. The assassins admitted they were hired by a secret alliance of noble families who believed the humans' presence was poisoning the Empire's image. That night, Seren stood in the royal court, her voice echoing across the marble hall. "If saving a life is poison," she said, "then our empire is already sick." The emperor watched her silently, torn between pride and anger. His daughter's compassion was spreading across the stars, and with it a dangerous idea, that humans and aliens might be equals. As for Elias, he sat in his hospital room once again, staring out the window at the twin moons. He felt small under the endless stars, but for the first time, he sensed something greater forming, a destiny. And somewhere deep within the royal palace, Seren made a silent vow. "As long as I breathe," she whispered to herself, "no one will harm him again." The galaxy, vast and endless, had begun to shift. One human's courage had created a ripple that no one could stop, not even an emperor. Weeks passed, but the echoes of the attack refused to fade. The Royal Interstellar Academy tried to restore its calm, yet whispers of rebellion danced through every corridor. The story of the human who defied death for a princess was now legend. Students secretly passed his image across star networks, calling him the flame that wouldn't die. Elias tried to return to normal life, attending lectures, helping in the academy labs, pretending the galaxy wasn't watching him. But deep down he knew everything had changed. He wasn't just a student anymore, he was a symbol. And symbols could be dangerous. Every day Princess Seren visited him after her duties, sometimes bringing alien fruit that shimmered like glass, sometimes just sitting beside him in silence. They didn't speak of politics or danger. They spoke about life, about Earth, about simple things. "You miss your home," she said once. "Looking out at the horizon, sometimes," he replied. "But I think I've found something more important here." Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat neither spoke. Her skin glowed softly under the academy lights, and he felt warmth spread through him, a feeling that words couldn't explain. But outside those quiet moments, storms were forming. Across the empire, noble houses gathered in secret meetings. "This can't continue," one of them said. "If the princess keeps protecting the human, it will divide the people," another hissed. "If she truly feels for him, it could destroy our bloodline's purity." The emperor knew of these meetings, but he stayed silent. His spies brought reports every day of public songs praising the human, of alien children painting stars around Earth's flag, of soldiers asking, "Why can't we be like him?" That question scared him more than any army. One evening, Elias stood on the academy balcony, the twin moons glowing behind him. Serene arrived quietly, her royal cape flowing in the soft night wind. "You shouldn't be here," he said, though his voice was gentle. "People will talk again." She smiled faintly. "They've never stopped talking." She stepped closer, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. "When I was trapped in the fire, I thought I would die alone," she whispered. "But I saw you running toward me, not away. And I realized humans aren't what the galaxy thinks they are." Elias looked down. "I didn't think," he said. "I just couldn't let you die." She reached out and touched his hand. Her touch was cool, almost electric. "Then promise me one thing," she said. "No matter what happens, don't let them make you doubt who you are." Their hands stayed together a moment too long. A guard at a distance noticed, his eyes widening in shock. Within hours, the palace was buzzing with rumors. The princess and the human were seen together under the moons. By morning, the council summoned the emperor, demanding punishment. "If this continues," one counselor roared, "the throne itself will lose honor." The emperor listened, silent and unmoved. "Bring my daughter to me," he ordered. When Seren entered the grand chamber, her father's gaze was hard as stone. "Do you understand what you are doing?" he asked. "The entire galaxy watches you." She stood tall, her voice steady. "Yes, father, and maybe that's the problem. They have watched humans with fear for too long." His hand slammed the throne arm. "You speak like a revolutionary." She met his anger with calm defiance. "No, father. I speak like someone who saw the truth," she said. "A human who values life more than power deserves more respect than nobles who hide behind their names." The emperor's voice softened. "Do you love him?" Her breath caught, and for a moment she said nothing. "I don't know what to call it," she whispered. "But he makes me believe our worlds could be more than enemies." The emperor closed his eyes. torn between duty and love for his child. Love between species has always ended in tragedy, he said, and this one will destroy you both. He dismissed her with a wave, but his expression lingered with fear, not anger. Back at the academy, Elias sensed something was wrong. The air was heavy, guards followed him everywhere, and whispers grew sharper that night. He received a message, simple, unsigned, and chilling. Leave before they make you disappear. Before he could decide what to do, the princess arrived at his door, breathless. They want to exile you, she said. The council believes separating us will end this. He frowned. And what do you believe? She looked at him, her voice breaking. I believe that if you leave, I'll never see you again. Elias took her hands. Then I won't go. Tears shimmered in her alien eyes. You don't understand, she whispered. If you stay, they might kill you. He smiled sadly. If I leave, they've already won. Outside, thunder rolled through the alien skies, lightning flashing across the domes as they stood in silence. The first drops of rain, rare on Valaris Prime, fell between them. And somewhere beyond those clouds, the galaxy shifted again. Two lives, from two worlds that should never have met, now stood defiant against an empire older than history. The storm had begun, but in their hearts burned something brighter than fear. Hope. The storm that night did not end with rain. It rolled across the skies for days. A strange omen whispered about in every broadcast and every council hall. The people felt something changing, something powerful, something the nobles could not control. Inside the imperial citadel, tension hung heavier than the atmosphere itself. The Grand Council had gathered elders, nobles, generals, and royal families from across the stars, and at the center of it all stood two figures under blinding white light. Elias Reed, the human student, and Princess Sirens Ilaris, the Emperor's only daughter. Cameras floated above them, broadcasting to billions across the galaxy. It was not just a hearing, it was a spectacle. The question was simple yet dangerous. Did a forbidden bond form between human and royalty? The Grand Judge's voice echoed like thunder. This trial will determine whether the Empire still values its traditions, or if it will be corrupted by weakness. Seren stood tall, her royal armor shining under the lights. If compassion is weakness, she said calmly, then I will proudly be weak. The hall erupted in gasps. Elias looked at her, silent but resolute. He had never seen anyone so brave. A noble from the House of Val stepped forward, sneering. This human bewitched the princess. He's using her emotions to climb into power. That's what humans do. They take, they manipulate, they destroy. Elias clenched his fists but did not speak. His heart pounded, not from fear but from anger. Then as silence returned, he stepped forward. His voice was steady, though softer than the nobles. I'm not here for power, he said. I never asked for it. I only saved her life when no one else did. The hall buzzed again, but he continued. Where I come from, life is precious. No matter the species, I didn't see a princess that day. I saw someone in danger, someone I could help. The words struck something deep in the crowd. Across distant worlds, millions of viewers felt something stir, something they had long forgotten. Empathy, the judge's metallic voice cut through. Your words are noble, human, but your actions have endangered peace. The Empire's unity trembles because of you. Seren stepped closer, her tone sharp. No. The Empire trembles because of fear, fear of change, fear of truth. The judge slammed his staff. You defy the throne itself at that moment. The Emperor rose from his seat above them. His golden robes shimmered, his face unreadable. Enough, he said. I will speak. The room fell silent. Billions of eyes watching the galaxy's most powerful ruler. He looked at Elias, then at his daughter. You have brought chaos to my empire, he said slowly. And yet, I cannot deny what I saw. He gestured toward the giant holo display behind him. The footage of the explosion replayed, the human diving through fire, carrying the princess through smoke and death. Each time the video paused, the Emperor's voice echoed softly. No soldier moved, no noble stepped forward. Only him. He turned toward the nobles. You call him danger. But perhaps it is you who fear your reflection in his courage. Gasps filled the chamber. Serene's eyes widened and Elias bowed his head, unsure if this was mercy or judgment. Then the Emperor's tone hardened. But laws are laws, he said, and they exist for a reason. If we ignore them, The galaxy will tear itself apart, he looked to his daughter. You will surrender your title and step down from succession, he declared. And the human will be exiled from the core worlds forever, Seren's heart broke. But she lifted her chin proudly. Then so be it, she said. If honor means turning my back on truth, I want no part of it. The hall erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted, guards surrounded the dais. And outside the citadel, millions protested across star systems. Let them stay. They cried, let them live free. In that moment, something incredible happened. Thousands of soldiers watching the broadcast removed their helmets, showing their faces. Some bowed toward the hollow screen where Elias stood. For the first time in the Empire's history, loyalty shifted, not to bloodlines or crowns, but to an idea, to the spirit of humanity itself. The Emperor saw it too. The realization hit him like a storm. His voice trembled. What have we done? But the decision could not be undone. Elias and Seren were escorted from the hall, guards on all sides. As they walked through the long marble corridor, Seren whispered, I told you they would never understand. Elias squeezed her hand gently. Then we'll make them understand someday. The starships waiting outside glowed like suns, ready to carry them far from the Empire's heart. The galaxy watched in silence as the gates closed behind them. From that day forward, people called it the trial before the stars. A day when one human's truth shook an empire built on pride, and though they were exiled, their story spread faster than light, carried in songs, tales, and secret messages whispered across 1,000 worlds, for every being who had ever felt small or voiceless. The human and the princess had become more than rebels. They had become hope. Years passed since the day the stars witnessed their trial. The galaxy changed, slowly but surely, yet whispers of the human and the princess never faded. Across the trade routes, in border colonies and forgotten stations, people still told the story of the student who saved a royal life and refused to bow. Elias and Seren lived far from the Empire's glittering cities. On a small blue-green moon called Tereth 9, it was quiet, wild, and untouched, a place where no council or noble hand could reach them. The air was clean, the nights filled with twin auroras that painted the sky in endless color. Their house stood beside a silver lake, made from pieces of crashed ships they had rebuilt together. To the locals, they were simply the wanderers, two souls who worked the land and taught the children. But for those who looked closely, there was something extraordinary about them. Years had softened them, yet love had sharpened their spirits. Serene no longer wore royal armor, her hair now streaked with silver light. Elias had grown stronger, his eyes wiser, yet the same warmth still lived behind his quiet smile. And in that small home, laughter echoed, the laughter of their children, half human, half Xylarian beings of both worlds. Their skin shimmered faintly like their mother's, but their eyes held the fire of humanity. Serene often sat by the lake watching them play. Do you ever think the galaxy will accept them? She asked softly. Elias looked up from his workbench. They won't have a choice, he said, because they'll be the future, their eldest. Lyra was brilliant like her mother, calm yet fierce. She loved building small machines from scrap metal and teaching her younger siblings to read star maps. Their son Kale dreamed of flying. He spent nights staring at the sky, whispering that one day he would see the empire that cast his parents out. Life was peaceful, until one night when the quiet was broken by the sound of ships entering orbit. A faint rumble shook the ground. Elias stepped outside. Heart pounding, Seren followed, her hand instinctively reaching for the weapon she hadn't touched in years. Above them, a royal insignia glowed across the clouds, the mark of House Xylarian. Moments later, a transport descended, and from it stepped an old figure cloaked in gold. The Emperor, older now, his once unshakable posture heavy with time. Guards surrounded him, but their eyes were soft, almost respectful. Seren's breath caught. Father, she whispered. The Emperor's voice trembled as he spoke. I searched every corner of the galaxy to find you, he said. And now I stand before the family I once cast away. Elias stepped forward cautiously. Why are you here? The Emperor looked at him with tired eyes. Because the Empire is dying, he said. Civil war has erupted. The noble houses fight for control and millions suffer. I see now that our laws brought division, not unity. He looked at Seren, then at the children standing behind her. Your children. They are what we feared, and yet they are what we need. Serene's eyes glistened. You banished us for love, she said quietly. And now you come seeking it to save your empire. He bowed his head. Yes, he whispered, because only love can rebuild what power has destroyed. There was silence for a long moment. Only the wind moved, whispering across the silver fields. Elias finally nodded. We'll come, he said. But not to serve a throne, we'll come to help the people. That's all we ever wanted. Days later, their family boarded the Imperial transport, returning to the galaxy they had left behind. When they arrived at the capital, the people didn't see outlaws, they saw legends. Crowds filled the streets, throwing petals of light as the mixed-blood children walked through the city. Lyra and Kale spoke before the Council of Planets, their words simple yet powerful. We are both, Lyra said, and because we are both, we understand all. Kale stood beside her. If the Empire cannot accept unity, he said, then it does not deserve survival. Their message spread like fire across the stars. Planets that had once rebelled now laid down their weapons. Soldiers refused orders to fight, and the word peace became a movement. Serene stood beside Elias as they watched their children speak to a galaxy that had once rejected them. She smiled, tears glimmering in her alien eyes. You see, she whispered, our love was never the end, it was the beginning. Elias nodded, his voice soft but full of pride. They are the gift, he said, the gift beyond bloodlines. And so the human who saved a princess and the princess who defied an empire became symbols of unity. Their love gave birth not only to children, but to a future where species no longer mattered. Far above their world, a new council formed, a circle of humans and aliens working together for the first time. Their emblem was simple, a hand of flesh and a hand of light, joined together over a single star, and in every school, every station, and every home across the galaxy, children learned the same story, the one that began with fire, courage, and a single human heart that refused to bow. Generations passed, and yet the story of Elias Reed and Princess Seren's Ilaris never faded. On every world touched by the Empire's light, their names became symbols of hope, of change, of courage that crossed blood and stars. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear. The old empires had crumbled, replaced by the United Worlds Accord, a council of both human and alien voices. The warships that once guarded borders now carried food, medicine, and peacekeepers. At the heart of this new order stood a monument made from silver and crystal. It reached into the clouds of the capital planet, carved into the shape of two hands, one human, one alien, holding a single flame. Beneath it was a simple engraving. One act of courage can rewrite the stars. Lyra and Kale, the children of Elias and Seren, became the first ambassadors of this new peace. Lyra led the council that united the border systems, and Kale commanded the exploration fleet that rediscovered forgotten human colonies. Their children, and their children's children, carried both names, Reed and Xylaris, symbols of unity itself. But beyond the politics and the councils, on the quiet blue-green moon of Tareth 9, where everything began anew, two graves rested side by side beneath the silver trees. The winds carried the scent of star lilies, the flowers that only bloomed under twin moons. Visitors from across the stars came to that place every year. Humans, aliens, even synthetic life, they came not to mourn but to remember. Children ran between the silver trees, laughing while elders told the old tale. Once, they said, a human student saved a princess, and together, they saved us all. Inside the museum built beside the lake, the original academy uniform of Elias was displayed. Burned, torn, yet preserved with care. Beside it hung the golden insignia of House Xylarian, the same crest Seren had given him when she declared him her protector. A small hologram above the display projected an image of the two standing together, smiling. In the corner of the exhibit stood an old holojournal, recorded by Elias himself in his final years. His voice, calm and warm, filled the air when visitors pressed play. If anyone ever hears this, his voice said, remember that peace is never given, it's earned. I was just a student. She was just a princess. We didn't plan to change the galaxy. We only tried to do what was right, and somehow... That was enough, Seren's voice followed. Recorded much later. Love is not bound by stars or species. It is the light that finds you in the dark. Follow it, even when the world tells you not to. Those words became the first passage of the Code of Harmony, a sacred text studied by future generations centuries later. A small human cadet named Aiden Reed stood before that monument. Tracing the carved flame with his fingers, he was young, uncertain, and about to begin training at the rebuilt Royal Interstellar Academy, now renamed the Academy of Unity. Beside him stood an alien student with shimmering eyes, just like Seren's. "Do you think their story was real?" she asked softly. Aiden smiled. "Maybe it doesn't matter if it was," he said, "because it's real enough to make us better." High above, the stars glowed brighter than usual, as if listening, as if remembering. On the anniversary of their sacrifice, lights were released into the sky from every planet. Each glowing lantern carried a message, a wish, or a simple word, "Thank you." And somewhere beyond the reach of time, perhaps their souls watched hand in hand, smiling as their dream lived on through the countless worlds that once tried to destroy it. Because legends don't die, they become the foundation for new beginnings. And so, every child, human or alien, learned the same lesson whispered in every language of the galaxy. A single human's courage began it. A princess's heart carried it. And together, they gave us the stars. The flame of their love still burned. Across galaxies, across centuries, a silent promise that even in the darkest void, humanity would always find a way to shine, and in that eternal light, the legacy of the human student, Elias Reed, became immortal.